basic Kotlin syntax. Like, okay, so you know Kotlin is the language that we will be using to develop Android. So today's lesson is just going to be basic Kotlin syntax, so that you can, when you work on Android Studio, you will understand what is written there in Kotlin. So we're just looking into the basic syntax. So first, I would like to share a website with you. So this is the documentation of Kotlin, where you can, if you want to study more about Kotlin language, you can go there. And we'll be using an IDE provided by Kotlin only, that is Kotlin Playground. The second link is the Kotlin Playground link. So if you want to, what do you say, we'll be coding something also. So if you want to code along, you can go to that link and, what do you say, work there. So, okay, so like other languages, in Kotlin also the entry function is a main function. So to define a function, you have to write fun, then you have to write the name of the function, then yeah, you will be inside the function. So this is the function that Kotlin will execute first. Whenever you press the run button, Kotlin will first execute this function. So all your code should come inside this function. Okay. So the first thing that we look into is print statement in Kotlin. So to print anything, very easy. You have to just type print. If you want to print a string, let's say hello world, you can do like this, and you just have to press run button. You can see the output here. So this is just the print statement. So what this print does is that it prints, what is, if you and give another print statement like print, if you press run, you can see that Cyril is printed right after hello world. So to avoid this, you can use another function, that is print ln function. So what this does is that after printing your statement, it what do you say, keep it goes to the next line rather than continuing on the same line. So println is used to go to the next line. So the next thing is comments. So in Kotlin, you can comment something just by putting a double forward hash. So this is the comment. Okay, so what I want you to do is, you can try printing this in your Kotlin program, in your Kotlin window, like this. So you all can go to this Kotlin Playground link and try printing this pyramid like this one, this part. And whoever is done, you can just message here. If you have any doubt, you can ask also. If you are done, just put a yes, anything. I'm done, like something like that. Okay. I hope no one has doubt in this part. Okay, so moving on. The next thing is variables in Kotlin. So to define a variable, the first thing that we have to define is whether it is a var type or a val type. So there are two types of variables. One is var and the other one is val. So what this means is a var is used to define a variable that can be changed in the future. Like, it is called mutable variables. So mutable variables can be changed. So if you say var x is equal to 1, and then later you say x is equal to 10, and you print x. So one more thing, in Kotlin, you don't need semicolon. Even if you put semicolon, it will not give any error. If you don't put, it will also not give any error. So there is no problem. So if you print this, so you can see that you have printing 10. What is the error? Redundant. So look into it later. So you see, you change the variable of value of x to 10. You see, you printed 10. But what if you val here instead? So you can see val cannot be reassigned. You will get this error if you assign val. So what I did this here is that you can see this int, right? So to define the variable type, what you do is you put a semicolon and then you say if you want to define an int, you just write int one. If you want to define a string, you just say a string is equal to, you say print like this. So this part is used to define the type of the variable. This part is to define whether the variable is a constant, will remain same, or its value should change or not. So when you are initializing the variable like this, you don't need to define this. You can do it right directly because Kotlin automatically assigns the variable type. But if you are not initializing, you are just creating the variable, then you need to do this. Otherwise, Kotlin will give an error. The Kotlin gives an error. So if you're not initializing, you just have to uh, also mention the type of the variable that you're going to define. So your Kotlin won't give an error, it is giving warnings. So that was all for variables. So another thing regarding variables, if you want to create a variable that can be null, like if you want to say x is a variable that can be null in the future. So you want to perform something, you want to keep it null, then you have to, what do you say, put a question mark sign, and then you have to say equal to null. So what this question mark says is that this variable x can be a null. If you don't put question mark here and then you equate it to null, then we'll give an error because the value of non-null type string. It is a non-null type string right now. But if you want to make it a nullable variable, you have to put a question mark, and then you have to initialize this to it to null. So this will be very useful in Android because Android you have to create null type variables to check what is in null type errors. So this will be very useful there. So now that we are done with variables, next thing would be printing variables. I already said. Okay, so next thing is string templates. So for example, let's say we have a variable x is equal to 5. Okay, and you have to print this variable with a string, like print mm, number is equal to. Now we need the variable of x to be printed here. So to do that, there is a you have to put a dollar sign. Whenever you put a dollar sign, the Kotlin language understands that you are going to define a variable after this. After this, you have to write x. So now if you print this, you can see it prints number is equal to 5. Okay. So now if we want to perform an expression inside this, like for example, if we have another variable, let's say var by equal to 10. Now we want to print the sum of x and y here. So you can't just do like this because this will give error because Kotlin only sees the first character after this, like the first word after that. So to do this, you have to introduce curly braces. You have to add curly braces around x and y so the Kotlin can understand that this block should be printed out in the string. So now if you uh, run this, you can see it printed 15. It printed the sum of 10 and 5. So that was string templates. So if you have, I will give you like 10 seconds. You can try creating a variable with your name, and then you can just similar to and yeah, you can say that. So now what you can do is that you can create a variable with your name, like variable x is equal to your name. Then you can print my name is dash. So you can try this in Kotlin. When you are done, you can just say done. Done. Okay. So now that we have any doubts in this part, anyone, if you have any doubt till here. I think you can't unmute. You have to type. Rishabh, can they unmute here?
Just a second. I'll just check.
Var and val. See, var is used to define a variable that can change in the future. Like if you have a variable, say x is equal to 5, and if you want to change the value of x to 10 later, so you can change the value of x.
You're on mute.
One second. What is the use of? Okay, one second. I will start with this one. What is the difference between var and val? So var is used when you want to define a variable that can change its value in the future. So here var x is equal to 5, then I put x is equal to 10. If I print x is print ln x. Okay, so see, so here the value of x is 5, then I change the value of x to 10, and then I print it. It is now 10. But if I say x is val instead of var, now Kotlin will give me an error. See, val cannot be reassigned. So the value of variable of type val cannot be reassigned. Once you define the value of val, it has to remain same. It cannot be reassigned. So what is the use of dollar? Dollar is used whenever you want to add a variable, like print a variable inside a string, right? If you say print hello, so like let's say val x is equal to Cyril. Okay. Now, if I want to print my name is, I want to say I have to print the variable of variable x here. So then I will do $x. So what Kotlin sees is that after dollar there is a variable. So I have to print the value of that variable instead of printing this string. It prints the value of x. So you can see my name is Cyril printed here. If I change the value of Cyril to say Rishabh, now you can see my name is Rishabh is printed here. What is the next one? Val can be compared to const in C++. Wait, equation one. Okay, so the equation one is that, see, if I say x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2, if I want to print x plus y here instead of printing x, let's just try this one, x plus y. So now you see what happens. Okay. Y equal to 2. So you see, it is printing 1, and after that it is not printing the sum, it is just seeing this variable. So we want it to see the expression, right? X plus 1 expression. So to include that, we have to, what do you say, put the expression inside curly braces so that it will print all the value of this expression after printing this string. So see, here it is printing my name is 3. So next is var only for integers. I don't think var is only for integers. Wait. Rishabh only. So var can be used for anything. Should we have download Kotlin laptop? No, Kotlin will be already what we say integrated in Android Studio when you'll code for Android. So you don't need to install anything. What if we want to define string int? Would it give an error? Uh, can you what do you say? What if we want to define it as a string or an integer? I didn't understand. Difference between var and val, I already explained that. Use how to assign string. To assign string, I told no, you have to, what do you say? Say var x is equal to the string value if you want to assign a string. To print dollar. 1 second. So think we can move on. If you don't want to use var strings, I didn't get this question. One second. Can you explain the question? Like, you don't want type of string keyword. Wait. So if you want to define type, you have to write this one. String. And the type of the variable. You can do it like this. Okay. So let's move on. We will see other doubts later because it will take a lot of time. Okay. So the next thing would be if statements. So let's say var x is equal to 1. We want to print something if x is 1. Otherwise, we need to print something else. So if x is equal to 1. So whenever you want to check if something is equal, you have to use double equal to, because single equal to is for assignment, double equal to is for checking. So it's very common programming languages. We just have to print. What do you say? Value of x is equal to 1, and else we print something else like print value of x is not 1. So if we print this, you can see, yeah, so value of x is 1. What if the value of x is 4? Now you can see that the value of x is not 1. Okay, so this is how if statements work. What is the use of assigning different values to a var when you want to change it? Like if you want to, I'm just you may need to change the variable value for many reasons, right? When you're coding. What if we take value from user? Yeah, for taking values from user, you have to use a function called getLine. We'll be talking about it later tomorrow. Is Kotlin a GCC compiler? Kotlin uses JVM. It is Java based, so it uses JVM for compile. Anything else? No. JVM, Java virtual machine, not JVM. If we don't put curly braces, then will if or else read any statement or not. Okay, so let's try that. If we don't put curly braces, I think it will read only the first line. After that, it will work. But if you put anything after this, it will not consider that for if give error. Which compiler is Kotlin? Please specify again. JVM, Java Virtual Machine. the same compiler that Java uses. Kotlin is based on Java, but Kotlin has more features than Java. That is why it is used nowadays. So that's why Kotlin is more what do you say, more better. Like it has a lot of features that Java doesn't have. That's why it is basically Java only, but better than that. So next thing that we should discuss after if statements is that when statements. So now we know that if statements defined like this. So what if I want to say check for value of x, and for each value of, like, say if x is 1, I have to print something, if x is 2, I have to print something. So if we define if else statements, it could be, what do you say, very lengthy. So we have another thing named when. So what we do is we just write when, then we will open the braces, then put x. So what when does is that it checks for the value of x. So after that, open the curly braces. Now just write when x is equal to 1, an arrow, we'll do something like print x is equal to 1. Okay. Now the next thing would be for x is equal to 2, print, say x is equal to 2. Like x is equal to 3, we'll say print x is equal to 3. Or else you can say print. Okay, so here the output should be none. Okay, so what if x is 3? We will get x is equal to 3. What if x is 2? We'll get x is equal to 2. Like this. So you can just use when also if you want. But does Python perform is this, it will only last statement we have to put semicolon. No, in Kotlin you don't have to put semicolon anywhere. Kotlin doesn't need semicolon. If you put semicolon, Kotlin won't give error also. So it is very flexible. If you by mistake, what does it indicate? Okay, this is the syntax, the arrow, like this arrow, right? This arrow is a syntax for when statement. So it says that when x, it just checks for x. If x is equal to 1, then perform this task. If x is equal to 2, then perform this task. So this is the syntax, like syntax of when statement. So Kotlin and Python does do same jobs. So both of them are languages, right? So Kotlin is used for Android development. Both of them have their own, what do you say, fields where they are useful. So you can't say something like that. They are both programming languages. You can use both of them for different purposes. This Android is based on Kotlin, so we use Kotlin in Android. So, it is similar to switch statement in C++. Does else chain require curly braces now? No. Here, see, here I have only, what do you say? I am only, what do you say, performing, like executing one line, right? So I don't need curly braces. If you want to execute multiple lines here, so you can just put curly braces and you can add anything here, like print hello, something like that. So this will also work. Yes, you have to put curly braces and then you have to write all your, what do you say, code inside that for x is equal to 1. Don't we have default option in just hi for here default option would be else, right? If nothing is working, then you will go to else part. We can use letters only or only numbers. Okay, so for letters, let's say if I say here Cyril, and if it is Cyril, I want to, for now I will only, I want to print x is equal to Cyril. Okay, let's see if it works or not. Okay, so this all has to be string. So the inputs here should be same as the type of variable that you're defining. So you can't put Rishabh, then print x is equal to Rishabh. Okay. See, x is equal to Cyril prints here. So it is checking if x is Cyril, then print this part. So it works for strings also. It will work for any other variables. Why? Which is fast? So both of them, I don't think there is any performance difference. Both of them would be same only. This is just for what you say, writing a code in less. Which one? Yeah, case sensitive. It should be case. It will be case sensitive. Why is else here? Why is okay? So this I wrote by mistake. Even if you don't put semicolon, it won't matter. See, semicolon doesn't matter. If you put semicolon, it's fine. But if you don't put, it's also fine. This was that habitual. Like if I use C++, you get a habit of putting semicolon. So by mistake, you can put semicolon sometimes. That's why. Okay, so now we've seen what do you say if statements. So now let's look into arrays, like how to define arrays in Kotlin. To define array, we just have to write AR is equal to array of anything here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I just defined array. So to iterate through an array, you need a for loop. So for loop in Kotlin is very simple. Like just write for say I in AR. Okay. So now I will take what values of the array one by one. Like I will be one time, I will be two, like that. Then you just say print ln. Okay. So if I run this, you can see the values of the arrays are printed here. Now, if I try to change one value to 7, what will happen? You see, Cyril is also taken. So in this part, whenever you are not defining any type of the variable of the array, the Kotlin will, what do you say, take any type of variables. Like here, we are not defining any type for the variable. So it will take any type. Like if you put string here, if you put integer here, it won't what do you say, give you an error. But what if I define a type? So to define a type of variable, a type of the array, you just put a what do you say, angular braces, then just say int like this. So now the type of this array is integer. So now if I run this, I will get an error. So I can't put string here. I have to delete this. Something like this. Okay. So see, now this has what do you say, initialized. Okay. What is it now? Is this Java you are using? This is Kotlin. This language is Kotlin. It is not array. What does ln mean in that print line? So there are two types of print statements in Kotlin. If you don't write ln, it will print all the what do you say? It will print without breaking the line. But if you put ln after printing I, it will give you a break. Like it will break to the next line. So it will print like this. Next line. In for loop is increment. No, in is just to what do you say? Just to see if I is there in that array. C++, some of it is similar. Like in this for loop is similar in Python. You can do the same thing in Python also. We're printing AR of I instead of AR. No, the value of I will be AR of I here. Like if you want to go through, like if you say 0 to let's say 3, if I print AR of I. Now the value of I will be 0, 1, 2, 3. So now I have to say AR of I. Now it will print this because I'm iterating from 0 to 3. So this is another what do you say syntax in what do you say Kotlin to define a range of values. Okay, so this is used to define a range from 0 to 3. So to access the index, what you can do is that you can just say I in AR, and then there is a function in arrays called index of, like, so see, there is a function named index of. So you just need to call this, and then you have to pass the value of that element. Like here it is one. Let's say something else, like let's say 10 or 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. So the value of I will be 10 first, then 20, then 40, then 50. So if I want to get the index of that value, like index of 10, so I will pass index of, then I will be 10 here first. So it will print the index of these values. See, 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. For 0 to 10, it will be 0 to 10 over. No. For iterating through a range, like if you want to print all the numbers from say 1 to 100, so just say 1 to 10, for example. Just say 1, then you put two what the full columns, then you just say 10. Okay, sorry, I didn't say I. See, it will print all the numbers from 1 to 10 like this. So this is syntax for ranges. So what do you say? There is one more thing. One down. Okay. Indexes. So for indexes, I told you, right. So whenever you are saying I in AR, so the value of I will be the values of AR. Okay. So you won't be getting the indexes. So to get the index, you have a function in array, like in Kotlin array, you have a function that is index of. So see, whenever you what do you say, put full stop after array, you can see all the functions that is defined in array. In here in ID, in the ID you can see all the functions. So you can search for any function that you want. So if I put in, you see there is a function called index of. So you can just say index of I. It will print the value index of that value. So first the value will be 10, so it will print 0. Then it is 20, then it will be 1, then it's 40, like that. Okay. So for notes, I have a note file for this entire course, so I will share it to you with all the code. I will share the code to you if you want it for later. So I don't think you need any notes. And if you want to learn more, I already shared the link for Kotlin documents, right? So you can just go there. You can check the documentation. Everything is written there. So if you want, you can search that also. Okay, so after arrays, the next thing would be list. So to define a list, so you just say li is equal to list of, see, just as you did for arrays, you just have to do the same thing here. Even for iteration, you just have to say for I in li in I. Okay. Also same thing. Say print ln, same thing. So the main difference between list and I will share the notes after this session. So notes would be like I will share all the code that I have written, like all the snippets, code snippets. I will share it to you so you can practice them after the session. So okay, so this one, what do you say? So the difference between list and array would be that once you define an array, you can't change the size of the array. You can't change. You can change the values, like you can change array of 0 equal to something, but you can't change the length of the array. But in list, you can do like that. Like if you have a mutable list, so there are two types of list. One first is list, and the second is mutable. So the in this list, if you try to change the value of zeroth index, like you say 1 is equal to 19, you will get an error because you can't change the values of list, values of what is elements of the list. But if you had an array instead of that, array of, if I say array of, see, this won't give any error because in arrays you can change the value. So that is one difference. List of And we try it list dot. So that was first difference. So another type of list is mutable list. Mutable list. So if you have a mutable list, then you can change the value of the indexes. Like if I say 19, so now you can change the value. So that is the what do you say major difference between list and array. And one more feature of list is that you can add elements to the list. Like if you say li dot add 100, see 100 is added to the list, but you can't do this in array. Array doesn't have a function called add, so it will give an error. Doubts me. This video will be how is I doing loop from 0 to I plus plus. How is I? So I will what do you say? For if you are printing this right 1 to 10, so what I does is that this is syntax for loop. So what I will iterate through this list. So what this returns is a list of numbers from 1 to 10. So what I will do is I will iterate through 1 to 10, and then you're printing I. So this is how for loop in this works, like Kotlin works. Can we add elements in list when it's mutable? Okay, let's try that. List array. If I do li dot add, see it is not working. To add elements to the list, you have to make it mutable list. You can add mutable list. I can add. And the elements will be added at the end of the list. Yes, element will be added at the end of the list. I think there will be a function for adding in between also. Not sure. Say add okay. So see, if you give an index and then an element, then it will I guess add after that index only. Let's try that. Let's say 0 comma 100. So now where is it? Okay, now we are not iterating through like see it's printed on the first index and 100 is added on the first index. So this is just very easy. If you want to find for search for any function, you can just wait for the IDE to show all the functions, then you can just go through them. Try okay, let's try that. If I just print like what will happen? So for list it is printing, but for array it is not printing the list. So this is also another difference. Okay, so let's move on. We don't have a lot of time. So that was list. And then after that, you have also learned mutable list. Mutable list of okay. It's the same thing here also in list. List also, if you want to define the type of list, just have to say int. Okay, so now the type of list will be integer. So that was it. Now the next thing would be functions. So in functions, how to define a function. So we have to first write fun. Then we have to just say add. Now inside this, you can either pass parameters or not. So we will be passing arguments here. So let's say a, the type of argument will be integer, comma b, the integer. Now if we want to return something, we have to define the type of return here. Okay, like this. Then you have to just bracket here and just say return a plus b. Okay, so now what if we do like answer is equal to add 1, 2, 1, 3, then we just say print answer. Okay, what is the reference? Oh, this should be capital I. See, now you can see it printed 4. So this is how you define a function in Kotlin. No. You don't have to do square braces. You just have to type li dot add. Then you have, if you want to print it, if you want to add the element on the last, you just say 100. If you want to say, if you want to add the element at a particular index, you just pass first. You first pass the index, then you say value of the element like this. Li dot add 1 comma 100. Like this. And write a function before main function. Yes, I don't think it will make any difference if we write it here also. See, it won't make any difference. Typecasting. Okay, so to typecasting, like I will show you. Let's say, what if you have a value, say a is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now if we want to assign var s is equal to, let's say it is integer type. Okay. If we have a string type, string is equal to answer, this will give error, type mismatch. But if you do answer dot to string, it should work. Okay, so this is not giving an error. So you have changed the value of answer to string, and then you're passing it to s. So now if you print s, you will get 1, 2, 3. So that is typecasting. I think similar functions are there for toInt also, like dot toInt also is there, so you can change to integers also. Okay, so moving on. Next thing would be named arguments. So one more thing here is that what if I, in this function, what if I want to give a default value to this, let's say 9. Okay, just let put it here and 9. Now what if I do print add 10? Okay, I only pass one argument instead of 2. So let's see what happens. Value of b, yeah, see, value of b is not given. This is, I know this is a problem in this one. For now I will put it here. Okay, see, now it is printing 19 because what do you say, we give default value to b. But as you previously saw, if I put what is the default value here, like if I say a is equal to 9, it is giving me error because it is saying that the value of 10 is the value that you give to a, not to b. So this is an error because whenever you give parameters to a function, arguments to a function, it will take the parameters in the same order as you have defined in the function. So this will give error. So but I want value of 10 to be specifically given to b. So what I would do is that I would just say b is equal to 10. So now it is not giving me error. So this functionality is called named arguments. Like, so for another use case would be, let's say I have defined here a comma b, right? If I don't give names, I just say 1 comma 10 and I say a divided by b. Okay, see, now I'm getting 0 because it is taking value of a to be 1 because a is the first parameter here and we have not defined any name, so it will just consider 1 to be value of a, 10 to value of b. But what if I want 1 to be the value of b and 10 to be the value of a? So for that, I will just say b is equal to 1. Then I would say a is equal to 10. So now I will get value 10 because it is taking a is equal to 10 and it is dividing a divided by 1. So this is very useful because when there are functions with a lot of arguments, like if there are 10, 20 arguments, so it will be very difficult to remember the order in which the arguments are defined. So to make it easier, you can just say you can just call the arguments, you can just pass the arguments by calling their name, like the argument of this is b, so I will just say b is equal to 1, like that. Try dash comma. Let's see if this works or not. I'm saying this is equal to comma 10. This is not working. How to take values from user. So we will talk about that later. Don't worry, we'll be covering that. So this was named arguments. So the next thing is higher order functions. Before that, let's look at what are lambda functions. So there is something called lambda function in Kotlin. So Kotlin is a functional programming. So what does this mean is that you can treat functions as variables. So in the previous one also, wait, okay, here, instead of writing all this, what I can do is that I could just say int equal to a divided by b. Okay, let's say a plus b for now, a plus b. And if I say 1 comma 10, okay, what is the, it will do the same thing. It will do the same thing because you are equating this function to this expression. So this is a feature that Kotlin provides because it is a function programming. So this is one feature. One more feature is that you can pass functions to another function. So how will you do that? I will talk to you in a bit, but before that, let's see what are lambda functions. So to define a lambda function, what will you do? Let's just say we create I already told that function. This is a function programming language, so you can treat functions as variables. So let's say var printer. Let's say a printer is equal to a function. We have to define a one-line function. So here comes lambda function. So lambda functions are one-line functions. So how do we define them? Is that you create a curly braces, then you write all your arguments that you want to pass to the function. Here, say I want to pass int. Then I just say there is an x as an argument. Then ln x. So what this does is that now I have defined a one-line function here. This is called a lambda function. Functions in this syntax are called lambda functions. These are very useful. So now what if I do what do you say, enter, I have to say printer x. I think it should work. Printer x something 11 is printed. So what we have done is that we have created we have assigned printer to a lambda function, and whenever we call printer of 11, it is printing 11. It is executing this function. How to take values? So these lambda functions are very useful. Just look at them. Just memorize this syntax. This is the syntax how lambda functions are defined. Okay, so we'll talk about them later. Now, another thing which I told was you can pass functions as arguments to another function. So this feature is called, whenever you pass a function to another function, the function is called a higher order function because it is taking another function as an argument. So I will just tell you how a higher order function looks like. So just say there is a function called operation. Okay. And there are arguments like a, b, is also an integer, comma. Now we have a function. So let's say operation. Okay. Now how to define the type of a function. Here we have say here we said there is an argument called a and its type is integer. Here we said argument is b, type is integer. But now we want to define the type as function. So to define the type as function, we just have to say first create open a bracket, then just give the what do you say arguments of that function, type of arguments of that function. Like our function will take two integers, then it will return an integer. Okay, so this is going to be function. Okay, now this function, our operation function is going to return an integer. So we will pass that integer here. Now what you have to do is that then we have to return operation of a comma b. So what this does is that our operation function, sorry, operator, this should be operator. So what this does is that the operation function takes two variables a and b, then it passes those variables. Okay, wait, this one is already defined in Kotlin. Yeah, what this does is that our operation function takes two variables a and b, then it passes those variables to this function that we are passing to that operation function, then it will return the output a and b. Okay, so let's try this here. Now I will say val answer is equal to, just print directly, print operation of say 3,5, and here we will instead of defining another function, we will just call a lambda function which takes two inputs, let's say a comma b, then it will return this expression, that is a b. Okay. This. And then we are getting a lot of error. What is the error? Once, let's say, let's call this let's say operation. Okay. Mm. 3,5. This is okay. Once again. Okay, so let's do this once and let's say val give the same error. Okay, same errors. Functional must have a body. What to define a body? Operation. Okay. Day B. Okay. Forgot. Okay, now see, it is printing it. So what we did is that we are passing 3,5 to operation and this function. So what the operation function does is that it takes these two functions and passes them to this function and then returns the result to answer. Then we are printing answer. So the answer should be 8, 3 plus 5. Function main print operation 3,5. This is working. Okay. Got it. Okay, so I hope you understood. This is a difficult topic, but if you keep practicing, then you can understand this, like how functions are passed to other functions and how they are working. This is a very important logic also, so you have to understand that. So the last thing, like, I don't think there is anything else left for functions. So the next thing would be classes. How to define classes in Kotlin. So define a class, just say class. For example, I would call a person class. Okay. So I will say person. Just define this. Define a class. You just have to write this much only. Let's say var person person1 is equal to person. This should not be any error. Okay, this is working, but we want person to do something. So let's say person has some values like uh, sorry, name string. Okay, val age. Okay. So now we have what do you say, properties for our class. Now we need a function to give values to this property. So let's define a function with values. Okay, we will give two parameters. One would be name, should be string type, and the other would be age, integer type. So what we do is age is equal to age. Okay, so what if I do person? Then I will say person1 dot get values. Okay, get values. Let's say Cyril, commodity. Now, what if I try to print person one dot name? Don't think it should give. Property must be initialized or be abstract. Okay, well, let's say var. Mm, okay, property must be initialized. Don't think it's from constructor, I guess. Okay, so take values through constructor. Let's say a equal to string comma age. Age equal to name equal to age. Oh, I think it should. Now we have to do this. Now it is working. Okay, so what I did here is that for classes, I have, what do you say, defined a constructor. So this in Kotlin, this constructor is called a primary constructor because it is what do you say, uh, called while, what do you say, defining. You can also add more constructors by just saying constructor. What was the name? Yeah, like this. And just define the constructor here also with different add parameters like this. So this is how you, what do you say, define constructors in classes, and this is how you define classes. Like these are the values. So one more thing that you can do is, instead of writing this like this, you can just initialize, what is it, define the properties in the constructor itself. So to do that, you will just have to type value. So value. So what this does is that, what do you say, it defines the constructor, at the same time it also initializes the value of the properties. So here you can see it will give the same result. Okay. So one more thing in constructor is that whenever a class is created, a function is called by default, that is called init. So whatever you write inside init will be automatically called whenever you create a class. For example, just say I just do this and I was say print created class. So let's try this. Let's say this. What will happen? So created class is called. So if you want something to run as soon as we create an object for a class, you just have to define all that in init. So init will be the init will always be executed whenever a class object is created. You didn't understand from lambda function. So did you understand what lambda functions are? Lambda functions can be, what do you say, called as one-line functions. Like, let's say if you want to create same example that I gave. So syntax of lambda function is you create a curly brace, then you just enter all your parameters. Like if I want to say one parameter is x, type int, then one parameter is y of type int, and now my function should return, what do you say, x plus y. Okay. So what I have done is I have just created a one-line function that takes two integers and it returns something. It takes some parameters and it returns something. That is what do you say our lambda function does. So if I say printer one comma two, sorry, now we say print. So what we do? Uh, One second. Sorry, I have to put comma also here. Yes. Okay, so see, you have just see 3 is printed here. So printer is actually assigned to a function, that is this one. So whenever you pass print call printer with two values, it will execute this function. Type of return, it, what do you say? Here it is not returning anything, but what do you say? If you want to define a type of return, you can just define it here, like int. So if you say x plus y, and you say print printer of 1 comma 2, infer type int was expected, then you can't try this. Okay, so I think you don't need to define the type of return statement, you can only define this one. So you can understand it like this. So whatever you type here, okay, will be assigned inside printer. Okay, whatever you if you return a value, if you return something, like if you just write x plus y, then printer will be equal to x plus y. But if you say print x plus y, it will not assign, it will just print that. Okay, like if I just write here 1, okay, just write 1. So print value of printer of 1 comma 2 or anything, like if you put any value of x or y, printer will be equal to 1 every time. So if I put, so see 1 is printed here. Okay, just understand it like this. So it is what do you say, it is very difficult at first, but if you keep practicing it again and again, you will get it. Can you explain init function again and are all the components of class public? Okay, so public private, I was going to talk about that later. So init function, init block is something that is executed every time whenever you create an object of a class. Okay, so if you want something, if you want to notify, what do you say, whenever you create a new person, like now I have created a person 1. Okay, so whenever I create a person, I just want to say created a person. Okay, I have to, you can just type it here. So it will type created a person here. So init block runs whenever you create an object for a class. If I type another function, let's say person2 is equal to person. Okay. Now what will happen? So created a person is printed 2 times. I didn't write Helen here. So see, created a person, created a person. So created a person is run 295. What do you say? Define 2 objects. So for each object, it will print one time. So that is init. Like init is created, executed whenever we create an object. Uh, can we not declare it in curly braces? No, no. Lambda function should be in curly braces. That is the syntax for lambda function. We will see how lambda functions are useful when we will look into some functions like filter and map. So that will be more understandable there. So this was all about classes. There are more like, okay, now private public. So in classes there is, what do you say, there is a feature where you can hide something. For example, let's say I want to hide the name of the person. Okay, so I would just say private val, which I will also take the name constructor, name private val name. So what this private specifies here is that the variable will be a private variable. So and the type is string. Okay, so now I will have a init. So here I will use init to just say that name is equal to name. Okay. So that defines this block, gives value to name from constructor. Then let's say now now if I try to, what do you say, print name, let's say print serial. Okay, so what if I say person one dot name? What will happen? Let's see. See, cannot access name because it is a private variable. So whatever you define after private can only be accessed inside this class. It cannot be accessed outside this class, because if it was not private, you see, now this function can also access this function can also this variable by uh, going to print person one dot name. But if I say it is private, then it cannot be accessed by other functions. So how can we, what do we say, get this? So to use print this name, we have to define a function which will be public func. Let's say print name. Okay. Uh, so now here inside this, we can just say that print name. Okay. So now, so wait, I have to call this here also. So let's say print name. So I'm calling print name function from person one. That is a public function. So there should be no problem. See, so this is printed. So why is this Kotlin.unit coming? This here. This name. Can you just understood, right, what is public and private?
Print inside print or print inside print.
मतलब
You just call the function person one dot.
अच्छा अच्छा okay my bad. So that was why. Okay, so unit is like a void only, void in C++. So whenever you are calling printing something like the print statement itself, then it will give unit whenever you want to. You're not, there is no data type like, no. So unit was printed because I was printing person. Right? See, I was calling print person one or print name inside print. So that's why, see, because in person print name I'm already printing something, so I'm calling print. That is why I was getting uh, unit Kotlin.unit, because print is nothing, like it is void, so it is returning unit. That's why I was getting that. So that's it. So that was public and private. Okay, so now the next thing would be little bit about data classes. Okay, so there are some special type of classes in Kotlin, and one of them are data classes. So I will write some code here. Okay, let's say let's define a normal class. Okay, let's say there is a class person. Okay, that takes two that has two properties. Like one is name, and the other one is let's say val age. This will be an integer. Okay, so what if so this is enough, right? Now I will define one person as Cyril comma 21, and the person would be val person 2 equal to person Rishabh comma 21. Okay, now this is all fine. If I want to print person one dot name, it will print my name. If I want to print person two dot name, it will print Rishabh's name. Okay, it's all fine. But what if I want to say compare these two classes? Like if you want to say if person one equal to, let's say it's not equal to person, sorry, equal to person two, return uh, let's say true. Okay, so in this case it will print false, but okay, it is not printing anything. Let's say else print ln false. Okay, so now here it should print false because we also know that they are not same. But what if I say there is one more? Let's change it here itself. Let's say this is Cyril, it's 21 itself. So now if I compare, see, now it is still returning false, but we know that both of these are same, right? It is Cyril 21, Cyril 21. So in normal classes, to what do you say, compare two objects, you need to what do you say, define custom functions that will compare them. But there is a feature in Kotlin that gives us a data class. So what data class does is that it defines a lot of functions that you use very what do you say commonly, like comparing two objects or getting their hash codes. We will not see that now, but there are a lot of features that we would need and we use very commonly in what do you say while programming. So data classes already have what do you say included all those features. So now if we try to compare, see here it will return true because it is actually comparing both of these objects. Okay, so uh, because of data classes, we don't have to define a function to compare objects because data class already have those functions included. So data class is another important what do you say type. Okay, so is it visible now?
Yes, it was visible.
Okay, so this was about data class. So there is another important what do you say type of class, that is object classes. So object classes are like singleton classes. So if we want to let's say create only one object, like without defining a class, because if I want to create an admin for example, so admin, we don't need to what do you say we don't want any other classes, we just want one object of admin that we can use in the program. So to do that, what we do is val admin is equal to, now we define an object class. So the object, and we say val name is equal to Cyril, and then say val age is equal to 21. Okay, so now what we have done is that we have just created a admin which is an object. Okay, so we can access the properties in admin like this, like say print admin dot name. Okay, so this will print the name of it. Cicero. So this is useful whenever we want to create only one object without defining a class. Okay. because here only we need an object to say define the admin. So we can use object classes that are, we can also define functions like uh, function, sorry, intro, let's say, and let's say print admin name is dollar name and age is, what do you say, dollar age. Okay. Here also we don't need this. So you have to say intro. See, admin name is Cyril, and so what we can access all the functions and properties related to an admin at a single object. So this is very useful to do that. Okay, so that was object classes. Now there are two, what do you say, commonly used functions that I would like to tell you. The one is filter and other one is, what do you say, uh, map. So let's say we have a list. Let's say num is equal to list of, let's say, Cyril, comma, Rishabh, comma, uh, say, what filter does is that filter is used whenever we want to iterate through a list and we want to filter something out of it. So wait, the better example would be 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, 6, 7. Okay, now we want to filter only the even numbers from this. So that time we use filter function. So filter uh, iterates through this list and it returns another list that will be all the even numbers in this list. So let's say var even is equal to num dot filter. Num second num dot filter. Then let's say, okay, now what filter takes is a function. So here we usually use lambda functions. So as I already told you, lambda functions, we need to give an input like say x is equal to, so this x will be the values of the list. Okay, the values of list, it will be passed to x one by one. So filter does is that it iterates through the list and then it calls this function with these values. Okay, so first it will go to 1, then it will pass 1 to x, then it will perform this task. So what we have to return is that a boolean value like a true or false. Like if we want to include it inside our new list, we will return true. If we don't want to include, we will return false. So what we can do here is that just say uh, x mod 2 equal to 0. Okay, so x mod 2 will return the remainder after dividing by 2. So if the remainder is 0, that means it is even, then we can return it. Okay, so this is an equation. See, this is double equal to. So this expression will return either true or false according to what do you say, x's value. So this is a, what do you say, equating expression. So if we try to run this, we print even. Let's see what we get. See 246. So all the even numbers are filtered from here. Okay. So filter can be used for this thing. So the next thing is map. So map is used whenever you want to iterate through all the values and you want to perform something. So it is just like filter only. Just say num dot map. Okay, here also we pass a lambda function, so it iterates through all the, what do you say, values, and let's say it will first take one, then it will pass that one to the lambda function. So lambda function will take int as input, and it will perform this task. Which will be, what do you say, print x into x, like x square. So what if we run this? So print ln See, so it is printing all the squares one by one. So this was map. So what is a var num is equal to list of. Okay, wait. I will copy your code. I will just try it. Wait. Okay. So var even is equal. Okay. So you define this should be okay. Even is equal to num dot filter x. I think this should work now. This is working right. We did 9.10. Next work. Type in. Yeah. So here you are defining integer, right? So if you pass a float here, this code will break here because you are supposed to get integers. Like if we say we don't take, so you have to define the type of variable also. Should be integer only. But if you want to perform filter on strings, like for example, we have Cyril, comma, comma. Okay, so now I will take string here because our list is consisting of string, and I will say if sorry, x equal to Cyril. So this will return true if x is equal to Cyril, and it will be false if it is not. So I think this should give a list of only my name. Okay, so this is correct. Did you understand what was the mistake, Bishwadeep? If you want to print outside of the curly braces, is there any exponent? Wait, if you want to print something outside of curly braces, I didn't understand that question. I think this was all that you need. This is all that you need in Kotlin to what we say get started with Android. There is nothing else left. Exponential operator. I think there should be an exponential operator. Let's check it. Uh, mm, to check it, I have used exponential operators. There should be. There are a lot of functions, so you can check it. Okay, let's see if this works. Two. Let's say four. I don't think it is working. No. No, Google it. Operator in Kotlin. Uh, okay. So you can use dot pow. You can check it in Google also. It is not working. Map iterates through all the elements of the list, and you can do whatever you want with that. Mm. Let's try this thing. Num print number pow. This is also not working. Two point zero. Anything else? Where list of where okay. Wait 1 second. Copy. Use this thing. X into X. Okay, I put into two main. See, this is working. Right? That operation is not working, but it will work. Like if you just do this thing. Separate function for finding exponential by giving the limit. You can do this also if you want to. What do you say? Create an exponential function. You can define your own functions. That is there. Anything else? That is enough, right? 1.5 hours. If you have any doubt, you can ask tomorrow also. Tomorrow also we have a session for Android development. So tomorrow we will be creating an application in Android Studio. We won't be using a lot of Kotlin there. We will just be understanding what the Android Studio IDE works. And then we will see how to create a UI, basic UI. Then we'll do some coding also, little bit. Like we will be creating some classes and we need to download for tomorrow. You download Android Studio. Android Studio. Download this ID. And you also download a AVD, like Android Virtual Device. This will not be important. AVD will not be important, but you can do that also if you want. Because if you don't know how to download AVD, I will tell you tomorrow how to do that. You just download Android Studio. Wait, I will show you website if you want. Android Studio. Stop sharing. 1 second. Great tabs. Share. Okay, so this will be the website. I'm just sending you. You can go here and just download Android Studio. Just accept all this, and you can just install it. So tomorrow we will do this Android Studio on the badges. That is a different thing. Okay, for then, if you don't have doubts, we will end the meet. Goodbye. Stop recording.